Hello everyone. So recently I saw a post on social media that asked a question that I wanted to address. And that is, why do I keep drawing the same people and relationships and experiences to me over and over again? So this is something that I've questioned a lot myself over the years. And as I've learned how to work with my energy and understand the principles of creating and manifesting and understanding myself, then I was able to come to some conclusions and answers to those questions that I thought I'd share with you in the hopes that it would be useful for some of you too. So in understanding why we create what we do, then it's helpful to first understand basic principles of energy and physics. And energy always follows basic principles and laws of physics. And that is that, number one, energy is always moving, it's always vibrating, and it's always circulating between you and other people around us. We're always living in a sea of energy because that's who we are. And our thoughts are energy, our emotions are energy, even our bodies. We are electromagnetic, energetic beings. And so when you understand some basic principles of physics and how energy moves, it's always moving in a circle or a circuit, and it always returns back to its source. So I like to think of the principle of the boomerang. So whenever you throw a boomerang, then it always returns back to whoever sent it. So when you look at things in your life and people and situations that are always showing up in your life and in your experience, then you need to start taking a look at, what are you doing with your energy? How are you managing it? What are you broadcasting? What qualities and types of energies are you putting out into the world that's bringing back to you, returning back to you as the boomerang, the experiences, the relationships, the conditions, the relationship patterns that you have? So when I was learning how to decipher my life experience and understand how I was using my energy, then one of the things that took me a while to really wrap my brain around and understand and to claim was the concept that even if I don't understand consciously why things are the way they are, what choices led up to that situation or that relationship being in my life, just simply the fact that it's there, it's in my life experience, therefore I had some hand in creating that, in setting that up. Whether I'm conscious of it or not, it doesn't matter. Whether I like it or agree with it or not, doesn't matter. The fact that it's there in my life, this person, this relationship is in my life as a result of how I've been thinking, how I've been using my energies, the quality of energies that I have been broadcasting. Now, when we have experiences that are pleasant and happy and supportive relationships, that's one thing. It's easy to see how we opened the door, we accepted, we agreed to those experiences. We opened to embrace and receive them. The hard part is when we have experiences, relationships, things that cause us pain and chaos and turmoil, we immediately want to put it off onto the other person or some other outside force as to why that thing is in our life. We have a very difficult time claiming ownership and responsibility for the fact that we had a hand in creating and setting up situations and relationships in our lives that cause us pain and distress, or even financial ruin, or things that destroy our health as a result of the experience. And so we want to, the knee-jerk reaction is to blame the other person or the situation or the circumstances or something or someone outside of us, so that we can claim to be the helpless, poor victim that was put upon, or situations were put upon us that we didn't agree or consent to or like. So I would challenge you to seriously look at that attitude and that belief, if this is something that you find yourself doing, and really saying, did I have a hand in this or not? Now, I recognize that sometimes immediately people will come up with the excuse of, well, what about babies or people or children that were abused or had severe trauma and things? And that's not what I'm talking about here. That's a whole other conversation that goes into other dynamics. But what I'm looking at or talking about right now is how you are doing your life as an adult, and are you willing to claim full ownership and responsibility for your choices and the ways in which you manage your energy? Because unless or until you are willing to claim ownership of yourself, of your emotions, of your energy, of your thoughts, then you will always be running around living your life as a helpless martyr. You'll always be pushing the blame off onto someone else, trying to make someone else responsible for you and your life and your choices. And as long as you do that, you will continue to struggle. And I know people are not going to want to hear this, but this is just the way life works. At some point, it's time to develop a spine and some emotional and spiritual maturity and take ownership and responsibility for yourself. And when you do, then you can step back and look at things in your life in a much more objective way, especially those things that are difficult and painful and cause a lot of chaos and conflict for yourself. And you can start to say, okay, what did I believe about myself that set me up to consent to have someone come into my life who is going to mistreat me and disrespect me? What emotional games and patterns and manipulations have I learned to play with other people in order to get what I want, to get my way, or to get needs met? Oftentimes, this is a very childlike level of development, of consciousness, of awareness. And unless or until you start to recognize that you're still living out those patterns that are equivalent of a child level of maturity, you're still going to stay stuck in that rut. When you're willing to put aside your ego or your pride or your agenda or having to be right, and look at, oh, I had a hand in this experience. I co-created this thing with this other person or this situation. Therefore, if I have a hand in it, I am responsible for the outcome. And if I had a hand in it, that also gives me the ability to make different choices so that I can get out of the situation, transform it, shift it in some way so that I can choose other things, other relationships, respond other ways that will eventually lead to more pleasant, productive, and happier outcomes. So rather than looking at, oh, I have the same thing again and again and again, I'm always drawing the same people to me, or why is it the same person showing up again and again? Look at what your beliefs are about yourself and about relationships as to why you continue in the same pattern, drawing the same people to you. You know, you are the common denominator in all of this. So once you can start to recognize the fact that somewhere in your body and somewhere in your energy system, you have been carrying around frequencies or qualities of energy that are a very low level of frequency, that resonate with conflict and pain and judgment and anger and perhaps pain, if you're holding those types of energies, if you're holding the types of the energies of beliefs that say that you can't do something, that you're not worth anything, don't have a lot of value, don't have a lot of self-respect, don't have a lot of love for yourself, that's a very low level of vibration and state of consciousness. If your body is holding those types of energies within you, regardless of whether or not you're conscious of them, if they are part of your energetic makeup and stored within the tissues of your body, you are carrying them around and you are responsible for them. And as such, they are broadcasting out from you. And like all things returning to their source, as the boomerang returns to its source, those energies that you're broadcasting out return to you in the form of those unproductive, painful, chaotic situations and the same pattern of relationships. So what can you do about this? Well, first, you can recognize, wow, I must have had a hand in this, creating this experience for this relationship. This caused me pain. I own the fact that some part of me wanted to create pain for myself. Doesn't matter that you don't understand it, just simply acknowledge that it's there in your life. That the energetics of your body, of your being, that the makeup created and contributed to this event. And then from there, you can step back and start to analyze it and start looking at it, say, for example, of like a scientist in a lab wanting to pick apart and make sense of something. You can step back and objectively look at the situation and start to say that, for example, a pattern of behavior that you always do with relationships. Pull out your journal and start writing down, this is what happened. I had this event, this conversation, this experience with this person. They said X, Y, or Z. I said X, Y, or Z. I responded this way. I said whatever I said. I felt whatever it was that I felt. And then they responded to me. So break it down so that you can analyze it from a distance, like objectively, rather than getting all wrapped up in the trauma and drama of the situation, which just emotionally spirals you down into a pit. Step back and say, okay, what happened here? Write it out. And then later on, you can, if there's something else related to that, write that down. And just simply keep a journal over time of the relationships you've had. So and start to look at the common threads, the reoccurring patterns. The patterns are the things that are most important for you to recognize and look at. And from there, you'll be able to see, oh, I chose this. I agreed to that. I said that. I believed this. I felt that way. This person tends to have this quality. That person tends to have this energetic or this way of responding and treating me. Look for the patterns. And then from there, you can sift and sort through from them and unravel to identify what your core emotional triggers are from those patterns. And then underneath the emotions, then you'll be able to start to recognize your core emotional beliefs about yourself, about other people, about your life, about what life is, about what you think life and people are supposed to do, your expectations. And you'll also be able to see what you need, the core basic needs to feel loved, fulfilled, nurtured. And then you'll be able to see whether or not you're actually giving those to yourself. Because if you feel worthy or valued enough to be able to receive those types of things. So I know a lot of that stuff takes time to learn how to do, and oftentimes you really need help from an outside source helping you to unravel it, to make sense of it, to be an objective soundboarder or someone to soundboard and just talk things through. And so that's when coaching or other people or healers in your life are very beneficial, provided that they don't enable you to stay in the rut that's not working. So you want, if you're going to be working with somebody to help unravel things like this, then you really need to make sure that the person is objective and can be neutral and really support you in moving through something rather than enabling you to stay stuck and encouraging you to remain to be the martyr and the person that's not responsible for anything in your life. Okay? So those are just some tips and techniques that I've learned how to do over the years, and it's something I pass on to you. So number one, just recognize, regardless of whether or not you understand it, you had a hand in contributing to the creation of whatever your experiences are. And once you can own that and take responsibility and ownership of your energy and how you've been managing it, then you can do something about it. And that's when you start doing the internal work of journaling, looking at for patterns, looking to see what your beliefs are about yourself and life and the other person, starting to identify what your emotional triggers are. And then from there, then you would go into doing some emotional release work, which is a whole other conversation. But for now, I just wanted to give you these 2 or 3 different tips and things to think about to understand that the concept of the boomerang, that everything originates from you and how you're manifesting or how you're managing your energy, what you are broadcasting out, what you are thinking and feeling. And then just a general principle and law of physics and energy is that whatever you send out, it comes back to you in some form or another. And the different pieces and ways that it comes back is what constructs your life, the situations, the conditions, the relationships, the type of job you have, how you take care of yourself, your health. All of these different little details of your life are a mirror giving you data back to you about what you are doing with your energy and your consciousness. So I hope that helps and gives you a few things to think about and some things to play around with. And if you'd like this video and some of the tips I share, I also have a lot of other things, other videos that I share. I have a newsletter that I offer tips like this, as well as other self-care, holistic health tips that you can enjoy on how to take care of yourself. And you can subscribe to my newsletter. The link to that is in the description of this video. So if you like this video, if you found it useful and helpful, then I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, pass this video around, click the notification button so that you can be notified for when I drop other videos. I do them a couple of times a week. And with that, thanks for listening and tuning in. I hope this helped you, and I will talk to you again soon. Thanks so much.